Okay, preparing the stuffing for the chicken. Let's do the breadcrumbs first. One slice of bread. I've always found this is the best way to make breadcrumbs from relatively fresh bread. I mean, it's the end of the loaf. It's the last two bits, the end bits, the bits that some people love, some people hate, the crusts. I like saving for this purpose because they break up easier. I reckon it gives a better texture to the final stuffing. Now I normally make 2 lots of stuffing each time that I make stuffing. And I throw half in the freezer so that the next time I make a chicken, I don't have to go through this. Now being that actually I may end up using this stuffing to make another chicken somewhere down the track in the next week or 2. I will make 2. So I will do my usual one. Okay, another one. Kind of using the inside of my hand to rough it up. Yes, my hands are clean, they've been washed thoroughly. But my hands are a little bit stained from a little work. Do the last bit, which is has been left a little bit out in the air to get a little bit more stale and harder, so that it breaks apart easier. The fresher the bread, the more it balls up into a dough, and this does not work. So yes, not fresh bread, relatively fresh. I would have still eaten it if I didn't have this to make. Probably best for toast, not sandwiches. Like when I used to work in a cafe, the old bread, or the day old bread would be our toasty bread. Because that stuff's a bit doughier, because it's more the inside of the loaf, I tend to use the other bits of the bread to kind of dry it out, rub it together, break it up. Yes, you could probably use a blender for this. Yeah, I guess. Well, this is the way I do it. Many bits like that, I just kind of rip them apart, that have balled up. It's relatively fine. I mean, it's going to soak up everything anyway. So that is the breadcrumbs ready to go. I never measure out the olive oil, but I will in this case because I am actually filming. Probably about that much. Oh, 30 grams. Now for dizzy spaces. I'm not measuring this out. I'm just, yeah. Oh, that's for salt. Two good pinches. Now this is the bit that I'm very scarce with, the nutmeg. I only use a very tiny little bit. That was like a sprinkle. Very far. And that's pretty much it for that. Now to chop up the onion and the garlic. So I grabbed this one originally because I was only going to make one, but then I'm making two. I need a little bit more onion, so I'm going to grab that one. I used to run from the cry of the onion, but I kind of welcome it now. It's a trick someone told me, and I don't know if it works because I end up crying, but maybe I just don't cry as much. You stick your tongue out. Supposedly, whatever it is that makes your eyes water. You're attracted to moisture, so attracted to moisture. Keep your tongue out. Maybe it doesn't. It doesn't actually cause the issue, but I don't know. I've never had that completely. I still remember my grandmother used to take the middle part out of these. She said it wasn't good for you. It's just the new shoots for the plant. Sometimes I just leave it out. Sometimes I leave it in. I normally leave it in if I'm cooking whole. So I don't know what the difference is. It is one of those things that it's funny how we pick up little traditions or hang on to myths and we often don't even know the truth of it. So that is it true that the sprouts of things like garlic and onions are not good to eat. The inner shoots, the parts of the new growth, because there's cancer-causing agents or something in there. Who knows? I don't like chopping things in the first few moments of chopping when it's all so big and clunky and it bounces around, especially with onion. At the same time, that juice is flying everywhere. And my eyes are starting to sing, my eyes are starting to sting. They're fucking starting to sing, they're starting to sing. Maybe I should stop talking and stick my tongue out. No, that ain't helping. Yeah, like Samanga. But no, not like Samanga. Nothing's like Samanga. Not even hot freaking chilies in your eyes. It's hot as Samanga. Oh, my eyes, my eyes, my eyes. Get into the nuts and bolts of it. You see why I only do this 1 out of 2 times I cook the chicken, because I don't like chopping onion. For the garlic, I think this is Russian garlic, massive cloves, and it's not a really strong garlic flavour from what I've found. Maybe each clove's different, but the first couple of times I've had it's been quite mild. And being sometimes a bit sensitive to garlic, especially with meats. I've had issues at times. So I'm just going to check and see what's going on inside of that. I'll remove that little bit as well. There we go. Well, I should. Yeah. The first stages of chopping, just because of the chunkiness of everything, and how much it wants to dance it around. My eyes are stinging again because of the juice and the board from the onions. Garlic and onion done. So the herbs that I use: parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, as in the song. So let's throw a bit of sage in. Rosemary. One of the things that I like to do with the herbs when I pick them is I'll take off a branch like this. It's a fairly decent sized one. Sometimes small ones depending on what's available. And I'll take care when I'm picking it off. And I'll leave a little bit at the top. It's my kind of way of saying gratitude to the plant, rather than destroying it completely. I can then plant that and put that in a bottle of water and that'll root. So I do that on pretty much all of the herbs that I can. So here, because there's probably 2 off this I can do. Just take that off like that. I like a fair bit of rosemary in this, as much as I can get. There don't have to be many leaves left at the top, just a few to give it a good start. That's probably enough of the rosemary for this part. Some thyme. Again, I find thyme tricky to work with, I guess because most of the time I'm in a rush. So you just take your time with thyme, it will reward you. So here, just pulling these leaves off. And this will root very well because of that woody bit. It sends out such wispy little roots when it grows. It'll get all tangled together if you got other ones in the bottle. So if you just got one, it'll be fine. If you got other ones, just take care when you're taking them out because they will intertwine and tangle with each other. You can separate them, just got to take care and rip them straight off. I got quite a bit off that bit, but I'm still going to take a little bit more out here. Oops. It's soft anyway, I'll chop up okay. Yeah, I might just leave that. I've got quite a bit here. Thyme is probably one of my favourite herbs and the way it grows. It's just beautiful. So delicate, yet so kind of woody when it gets down to its bottom parts down here. Plant of many personalities, just a lovely scent, especially if you've got it fresh, like picked and as with all herbs. Oops. That might grow. We'll see what happens. It's got a flower. I've never really eaten a flower, but maybe to make up for that one, I'll leave that one. I won't use as much on that. Try and be conscious, I guess, when using even plants. See here, I might actually separate that bit. Okay, so I have had them grow from little woody bits like that on the end. It does take a little bit longer. You don't want to leave any leaves anyway if you're going to be putting them in water because those leaves will rot and cause issues. I'm just going to strip those straight off. Just be very delicate here because I'm going to leave all of those ones on there a little bit. Again, just rip that off there. Gives me quite a few to work with there. You can easily pull off. Whoop. Did it again. there anyway. Can't hurt. One more piece. So a lot of the herbs that I do by just eye, I guess, or feel, or availability. Luckily I've got as much as I need at the moment, but I still like to be sparing at times, especially with parsley, which is the next one. Didn't have as much because I took off a couple of plants to the new place, so it's all been washed. And that might be enough. I'm going to leave enough for the soup for the next part, so fine with parsley, it's all over the place, so I just bunch it up. Throw it in the middle, and then I'll start chopping. Get it done first. Herbs done. So I guess this is just the mixing part of the stuffing. It's not really anything that substantial. I've got the oil in there, helps with the moisture, so does the onion. I think I used to put too much oil in at the start. Don't want a lot in there because this thing's going to soak up a lot of the juice from the chicken. It's also going to soak up a lot of the extra butter that's in the skin of the chicken. Oh, the smell. I never used to like stuffing as a child. It took me a long time. I used to like the smell, not the flavour or the texture. Still not 100% happy with the way my stuffing ends up at the end of the roast chicken. I find it a little bit soggy. But I'm never kind of cooking the chicken these days for it to be really eaten as a roast chicken. It's more to be taken to the next step of the stew / soup. That tiny little dash of nutmeg is such an amazing blend of aroma that you don't want to overdo it. It's so tricky to spice, like garam masala. Whew, first time I cooked with that. Whew, way too much. So most of this should be fairly well mixed, and as you can see, there's more stuffing here than I can probably reasonably use in one chicken. So I'll cut it and use half. And what I normally do as well before I go too far is I pack up the other half because I don't want any chicken juice or anything getting spoiled. This, and I'm grabbing it out of the bowl. Just mix it. I'll try and figure out roughly half. Scoop up as much as I can with the container. And just hold the spoon. Should be enough. A little. And that saves me all of that effort next time I want to cook a chicken. Future Carlo, thanks past Carlo, i.e. present Carlo, for this. Okay, so this is the bit that I hate. Handling raw chicken. Salmonella, salmonella, salmonella. Ah! Fear, fear, fear. I just can never trust that I've washed my hands enough afterwards. So I prefer, if possible, if I can use gloves, to wear gloves. Even double bagging the chicken when I'm at the supermarket, so that it doesn't leak chicken juice everywhere, which I've had happen before. And then I'm even extra careful when I open the bag. I do it inside the cooking vessel to limit the exposure. I always struggle with these. Even with a sharp knife, it's damn strong. There we go. I just don't want to cut the chicken skin with the knife because it's pushed right up into the plastic. There we go. Just sometimes enough to pierce it, then I can rip it with my hand. And then sometimes get the knife just a little bit more to rip it. I preempt doing a chicken by a couple of things. First, I run a hot sink of water. Second, I leave the bin open so that I can easily drop this packet. And don't forget this freaking thing here. Once cooked a chicken in a campfire oven. I forgot about that. Got it out and I didn't know whether it was safe to eat. I was hungry enough, I ate it. But, anyway. Now, I didn't do one thing I should have done, but that's okay. It's just here and I'm using all the butter anyway. The thing I like to do is, I don't know where I picked this up from, but I like to use butter under the skin. It helps with cooking the skin, but my god, it helps with the flavour of the, I guess the stew and the soup afterwards. So you kind of pick up this little bit of the chicken fluff here of the skin, dig your fingers down and just separate the skin from the top of the breast. Grab a chunk of butter and squeeze it in there. And I've let this sit to room temperature. Normally I actually use straight out of the fridge butter and cut it. But this will work. It's kind of tearing the skin a little bit. Normally it'd have more resistance and it would push down. I've never really done it this way before, which is interesting. See how it turns out. Again on this side. Fingers in that, separate that skin. It's pretty durable, but you've got to tear at the front here like I kind of do already from when it packaged or cut. Anyway. get all the butter I can, because being that I've got chicken on these hands and I'm not touching this for breakfast anytime soon. So this packet, once it's done, is going in the bin. All the butter you can get, because all that butter adds to the flavour. There we go. Done. So we've got our skin stuffed with butter. Now we need our stuffing. Might just put this knife in the sink. And here goes the stuffing. First, make sure we've got some space. I like to kind of squeeze the stuffing into a kind of small rissoly log, just to avoid the amount that spills over, getting it in there. And the next one's more a ball. And then I kind of pat it in, make sure it expands into that cavity. And then I'm going to throw this in the sink too, because it's in my way now. Although before I do that, I'll just scrape down as much as I can. Last bit of stuffing, trying to get it all together to avoid having to do multiple scoops. Now caking it in like a sandcastle-y shape. Got it into my hand, lightly into a ball, very lightly. In we go. Now, last little bits of scraps. It already smells so damn amazing. And it's still raw and uncooked ScoMo special in regards to chicken prep. But there we go. Chicken is done, or at least the first part. Now goes the baking in the air fryer, which I do for about 2 hours. Probably overkill, but I hate raw chicken. Anyway. Done. This air fryer I've had for about 10 years. I have cooked many a meal on this. It's hard to keep clean, especially at the top, but anyway, here we go. 1 hour. I like to start it off at about 160. It's a bit low for chicken, but I don't like the skin to burn too quick, and then I turn it up a little bit later. And now is when I get all the basting stuff ready and stuff as well. But I'll leave it set up like this for now, and then I'll be back in a minute. So about 10 to 15 minutes in, the butter's already melted down the bottom. Normally it'd be a little bit longer if it was cold to the butter. But I've got just this silicone basting brush that to hold it in when I've got it out, but I'm basically now going to start basting it. I do this every 10 to 15 minutes while I'm cooking. So what I love about using an air fryer is the freedom to open up what you're cooking without having to go and get oven mitts and stuff. Give it a good baste. Make sure it's all coated. Last thing you want is your skin to dry out and burn before it's had a chance to soak up all that good flavour. Another 10 or 15 minutes, we'll do it again. So I'm going to start preparing the stuff to go into the broth. So after the chicken's done, it's going to be boiled for about an hour and a half. So I like to get everything ready so I can just stick it straight in when it's ready to go. I never used to do this, and it used to take the process a lot longer. The last time I did it, I was surprised it was done a lot quicker. It tasted a lot better too, for whatever reason. I suck at peeling onions. I just don't like to take too much, because I know you can waste quite a lot if you go in too deep. This has had a bit of damage, this one. These are the imperfect onions from Coles. I don't mind. Take a little bit longer to peel. Oh, there we go. Almost. Pull that bit, it's going to take a nice bit of skin. This bit of skin just does not want to come out. There we go. One onion. So in the, I guess the broth, I like to do 2, maybe 3 onions, depending on how many I've got. I've got a big bag, so I might do 3. Ooh, don't cut nothing good. Used to be a bit scared of onion. It's the crunch and the smell of fresh onions. Still can't eat them fresh. Still can't deal with that crunch. You got a pizza and there's a bit of onion, it destroys it for me. I thank my long gone pop for that. He used to get these little pearl onions, these cocktail onions, and he would hold me near him at the dinner table while he would chew them, and his false teeth would go in and out of his mouth while chewing these little pearl onions. And that sound of the crunch, the smell, and the horror scarred me for life. I'll accept them in any form cooked, as long as they're well cooked and not still raw. So that should be enough. And now I'll go into the Z-pot along with freshly picked bay leaves and some more pepper. Celtic sea salt. That's a bit of a handful. Done. Let's stay aside for now. Anything else I need to throw in there really at that stage is water, but may as well throw the water in now. I would advise of using fresh ingredients and trying to make a nice healthy stew or soup. You don't use tap water. Use whatever water you can get that isn't tap water that is good for you. This is spring water. If I had rainwater from the mountains, I would use that. River water, It's clean enough. Basically, I'm going to get enough to at least cover the onions, but probably a little bit more. This has got to boil up the carcass of the chicken and be the base stock of the soup. That should be enough. Maybe a little bit. Don't know how much that is, but looking at that much in the pot. And they're floating. Should be enough. Time for the second basting. This time I'll be gentle with the handle, make it lay down so it doesn't turn back on. Always very good to know. It's already starting to brown the top of the chicken there. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but I ain't moving the camera at the moment because it's in a nice position. This happens so many times you lose count, but if you do forget to do this, you do notice in the final steps. Now, I haven't evolved to be turning the chicken at any stage. I tend to let the bottom of the chicken be a little bit undercooked in regards to the skin not being as crispy. It's cooked, but it's just kind of soggy. Yeah, I'm not eating it anyway. Not like that, at least. I always forget about doing this. I'm going to try it this time, about growing a new celery from the bottom of a celery thing. I normally rip it to bits and then go, oh, I forgot. Or leave it in the fridge for too long and it gets destroyed. So I'm going to do that this time. I'm going to chop it all straight off. Maybe take that broken one off. Put that in some water and see if I can grow a new one. Anyway, I've got to give all this a wash now. One sec, I'll be back. Time to baste again, time to baste again, time to baste the chicken, time to baste again. If you don't baste the chicken, then the skin gets cracked. Then the skin cracks and it's... I kind of like the smell of this stage. It's very buttery. More butter than chicken. No, not in a buttery chicken Indian delicacy, but it's in more a... I smell butter. I smell lots of butter. Like my head's in the middle of a vat of butter. But it makes for tasty chicken. Time to cut the celery. You know, what I normally try and do is rip all the leaves off because I find them annoying. At least at this stage. I think some people throw them out, but you can cook with them. Just gotta be careful. Sometimes you can overdo it with celery. It's a fine line. I don't eat it by itself. I'm only eating it because I'm cooking it. Not particularly my favourite style of plant taste. They're very stringent, acrid. I'll eat it if I have to. There's nothing else. It would definitely not be my choice on a table of other food if there was other options. This would be my last thing. I can try getting the peanut butter on it. Supposedly that's the road. Not for me. Not for me. I'm going to throw it in the parsley really, because I kind of treat it the same, but I'll keep it separate for now. I'm just going to grab another bowl for that. That's good. Packed most of my bowls away because I'm moving, but for now at least I can stay there. Time to cut up this celery. Now if I'm with bits like this, it's best to just kind of cut them in half. So otherwise they're too big. They don't always cook through as nice as the rest of it. Very task orientated. Being that I do one thing at a time sometimes, I would line them all up and do them individually, and they're like, no. This is better. Better and quicker. Just gotta watch the digits. My thumb down the bottom's getting a bit closer. Okay, we mangle a couple here, right? One's annoying me. The reason I'm cutting the celery up first is because it's the thing that goes in first into the big pot once the broth's done. Because it takes the longest to cook. At least to the point it's edible in my mind. Already the smell of it's like that. And I'm glad I didn't really just go mad into chopping up the celery heads, because there's already quite a lot of celery. I don't know if I'm going to need any more. That might be enough without the celery tops. I think I might use 4 carrots for today's soup. Let's see how much that weighs. $688 grams, but once I cut it down, I'd say it'd be probably 650. I'll measure it again, but yeah, 4 carrots, quite large in size. Okay, I got 4 large potatoes. Let's see how much they weigh. Actually, let's do this different. Just over a kilo, 1,022 grams. I'd say by the time I shave them down, it'll be about a kilo. Ooh. Also got some white sweet potato, which is purple inside, 170 grams. Probably 150 after I shaved it down. Some orange sweet potato, 350 grams. And some purple, which is white on the inside, which is 342 grams. Again, I'll weigh all those again once they're all cut. I forgot I actually packed something I needed, but that's okay. This should do. I'm going to put water in the bottom, and I'm actually going to put this in and fill it till I see the water, and then fill the rest with veggies. I'm going to use the spring water again because the water that's in the bottom of this I will use in the soup as well, because it'll pick up all the nutrients that are steamed out of the veggies. So why waste them? Why not use them? That should be enough. Should be plenty. Maybe a little bit more. Whenever in doubt, except with salt. Don't put too much salt in, you can't take that out. With water, at least you can cook it down a bit more. There we go. Kind of like it to be that it's almost not boiling at the bottom, but there's a lot of water at the bottom, like right on the bottom. And also that it doesn't run out. You never want it to run out of water. I'm now going to chop the veggies. I tend to cut the sweet potato in rings so I can differentiate sweet potato from actual potato, although this is pretty easy because it's purple. But then sometimes I'll leave like that, sometimes I cut smaller. I think this time I'll leave a little bit bigger. Don't want them completely falling apart because they do cook for a bit in the stew before they I guess before it's finished. I'll just steam them all first just to get an even cooking and make sure they don't turn to mush in the soup, because I used to try and cook them in the soup and they would take too long or too little and you never know. Light it. Can't believe I'm actually videoing, because so many times when I'm cooking that happens and there's no video camera around. That's what my ladies and gentlemen friends is my reflexes in action. Freaking cat. Sweet potato I actually don't mind if this particular one, if it mushes in, because I like it to thicken up the sauce of the stew. Purple sweet potato on the outside, right white on the end. Sweet potato. I've run out of room on the chopping board. I'm going to have to stop for a sec. Should have thought of this beforehand, but now I've got a bowl. I can just move it all over the bowl. And one thing I do like to do is leave the purple coloured things to go on the bottom, so they don't stain anything above them. I might leave those to the side because I might even be able to grab some purple carrots out of the garden in a sec. I just haven't checked them, so I don't know how big they are. Let's do the carrots while waiting. up and do two at once. That's a lot of carrot. Yeah. Cooked carrot in a stew. The soup is so good. It's like pineapple on a pizza for me. It's a sweet nugget of goodness. Do the potatoes and then I'll duck out and see if I've got some purple carrot fresh out of the garden, which will be a godsend. Everything that's been going on, if that could work out perfectly, that would be good. Takes for a carrot to grow. It's been a few months. Surely it's at a decent enough size to pick. Considering I've got to dig it all up anyway. What perfect time for it to be immortalized in film and in Stewp. Wherever this ends up. In my belly or in somebody else's freezer. Hopefully in my belly, it's been missing. Oh, I thought I had one. Thought I had another one. Jump the gun. Okay, potatoes are done. They should be able to get it in there. Should fit. Wow. That's about right for veggies. One second, we're going to check for the purple. No dice on the purple carrots. Not enough. Time growing, too small, only about that big, and I couldn't be bothered trying to skin them at that size, so these don't generally stain like the purple carrots do, so they're pretty safe to go in the bottom. And I normally separate and put the potatoes at the top if I had purple stuff in the bottom because it would go purple otherwise, but lucky I wiped the benches down. It's pretty full. It's full like so. I'll get that on the stove. So the chicken is up to about 180 actually. And at this stage it is imperative to keep basting. If you don't, it will dry out quite quickly. Anyway, baste, 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 baste. Baste in your face, London. Time to chop up some garlic. this in this Stewp. The whole aim was to be healthy, to have a lot of nutrients, to have a lot of minerals, vitamins, and I guess originally it was coming into winter when I started devising this recipe. Had to be garlic, definitely had to be garlic, and a good friend ginger in a moment will go in as well. I do like to cut garlic fairly fine because I actually don't really like biting into a chunk of spicy garlic unexpectedly. Some people love it. I actually like hot food, but I don't like spicy garlic kind of spice. And maybe that comes from it not being cooked, I don't know. Let's put that in the unknown category, eh? This is the garlic, and I need to do the ginger. I don't want to waste any, so I'm going to be very gentle with shaving the skin off. Not going to use a peel, which is probably what I normally do. It takes a bit too much skin off at times. Just so that this is perfect. I have to make it like that it feels that I'm not wasting as much. The lovely lady at Woolworths who gave me this piece of ginger because it was so small I wouldn't show up on the thing. She's like, I'll just take it. It's very lovely. Very nice of her. She had a great day. Told her she was one of the nicest checkout ladies that have been served by her in a very long time. Most are just angry and bitter these days because, hey, it hasn't been an easy time for anyone, let alone people on the front line serving everyone every day. So some people will probably not put this much ginger in anything, but look how much bloody stuff I'm putting in of everything, so this much ginger actually is perfect. Ginger. I love the smell of ginger. Gingerbread, ginger beer, ginger in my chicken soup. I am a ginger. Beautiful daughter who is a ginger. Life's better with ginger. while I'm doing those, should do the other things that I need to do and chop up. Now I guess I should chop up the parsley, which is basically all of the parsley as a, oh hang on, no. I do it in 2 steps, that's right. I do the leaves last. This is a little bit more of a delicate thing, the leaves. They don't take as long to cook. So, separate the leaves, and I'll do those last. And I'll chop up the stems now, and I'll do the rosemary because it's quite a tough herb. Do the thyme. This way I get more of a fresher parsley taste at the end of the soup if I leave it till a little bit closer towards the end. And I do some oregano and basil and things like that. Marjoram. Celery stems do take a little while to cook, and they've got a very strong flavour of celery. I'd normally actually have twice as much as this, but I took up half my celery to the farm, so you've got to make do with what you got. Celery. The rosemary. So as before, I've got a glass bottle here to put in these cuttings that I had from earlier that I have not put in water yet. Shame on me. I don't think that one's going to survive, but you never know. Same with that one. I like to give all life another chance if possible, if I've ever come in its way. It's the least we can do. We're conscious enough to know what we're doing. Even if we're not conscious enough to know what we're doing, we're only half conscious. Just that is enough. And this one, I think that was the bottom, so I'll leave that as the top. I'm just going to rip that off and use that whole thing. That one too. And try and just pinch off some of the bottom ones here. Put that in the water. This one, there's so many little ones that I could actually make plants from. Damn it. Because I can, I should. I'm not even going to pick, I might pick some of this guy's leaves. But the other ones, I'll leave their leaves. Good start. Yeah, that's a good one. You can give me a few, and then I can give it a new lease of life. Circle of life continues if we give care to it. Who doesn't need an extra rosemary bush lying around? I keep these ones on there just because I'm running out of space in that bottle. I don't really want to have to create any more plants before moving, but I did not also think that I was cooking this before moving. I thought I'd already done it, but my body's been missing it and I need it. And this is a self-care routine. I'm cooking this food for myself and my kids if they need it or want it. That should be enough. Make sure there's no sticks, they don't cook out well. Now for the time. is the perennial purple basil and the white perennial basil. I think marjoram or oregano, I can never remember the two. And sage. And rosemary. And thyme. And I'll add the parsley in last. Must be based in time again. Oh, yummy juice. Juice and butter. Lots of flavour. It's all coming from. That sizzling in the background is the vegetables boiling, which I'll need to check on one side. Still a bit fine. Like the old poke test with the vegetables, with the skewer, they go through nice and easy and they're done. Still a bit of resistance, let them go a little bit longer. These ones have a lot of resistance, so still a bit to go. Smells amazing with all these fresh herbs. For some reason I keep thinking I need to use more celery, so not really more celery, but I need to use some of the leaves that I've got there. If not all of them, some. So this is about half of what was there. I forgot to measure the vegetables again. Oh. You can roughly see what I'm doing here, so. How much they'll be once it's chopped. Basically, why not throw it in if it gives more vitamins to the mix? Just don't want it to overpower the taste of celery, but that's all that's it. done it once before, this time I'm being cautious. A lot of vegetable matter goes into this stew. Wash up time. So, veggies are done, and you can easily put a stick through them, and they're soft. Don't want to overdo them, they don't want them falling apart, and also they will cook a little bit longer when they're left in the pan, because it'll be another hour before they're thrown into the soup. Get the onions ready for the last stage of the soup where all of this stuff's going and veggies and everything. So I think all up there's about 7 onions in this thing. 6.5 if you count the fact that only half of the stuffing was used. But yeah, a decent amount of onion. Adds to the sweetness, supposedly, as a friend told me. Soup connoisseur. Loves his soup. Happy to be able to serve him a few times. Give him his tick of approval. Don't know where this process came from. It's something that was a burning desire within me to learn how to roast the chicken. How not to waste any of the parts of the chicken. So now, making sure the things that go in are good and wholesome. Just cook whole inside the soup and break down over time. Soak up all the lovely juice. Add their own. And this is the time it gets a little bit exciting. A few minutes left until this thing goes ding. The last baste. And then it's going to rest for a little while before I transfer it to rest even longer, just to make it just that little bit more succulent. Oops. I normally put a couple of extra minutes on, just because I always time that badly. Anyway. Just have to get the heat up a little bit more after basting it that last time. Just get it sizzling before it cuts off, and then it holds all of that heat in there. This is going to rest the chicken on there, and then I've got a glass bowl over here that will rest over the top of it once it's done. And then we can get to ripping it apart, which is always a fun part. Messy, hot, burns the fingers. I will be using gloves. Okay, I think the chicken has rested for long enough. Smoke or steam. Spin it around. The reason why I don't like to let it sit in here for too long is the longer it sits, the cooler the container gets, and the harder it is to do the next step that I'm going to be doing. Patience, my dear friends, patience as you hold the chicken to drip as much of the fat out as you can. Give it a quick little shake. Much of that juice to flow out. There's less cleanup later on this plate. Not that it's going to go to waste, but best to have what you want in one spot rather than 4 spots. Okay. There we have beautifully roast chicken. Now, just let it sit and rest. And while that does that, now comes the fun part. That's hot. Get all of the fat and the bits that have kind of cooked onto the metal. Rather than scrub it off in the sink, which is what I used to do, you get in while it's hot, particularly when all that fat that you use is a bit of a kind of lubricant. You can effectively wash what you need to. Mental note that I never remember. Wear something that you don't mind getting fat stains on, because I've got drops all over me now. That will need the eucalyptus oil. Luckily I just stocked up on some. So yes, my friends, if you don't already know that, there's a tip for you. Cooking with fatty foods and you get spots of fat on your clothes like what I've got here, put some straight eucalyptus oil on it, let it soak for a little bit, maybe half an hour before you wash your clothes, and voila, gone. Sometimes it even works on fat stains that you missed. Next wash, try it. Should get rid of it. I have seen some stubborn ones though. Spaghetti sauce is bad for it. Use a lot of olive oil like I do. Okay. Now this part takes a while. So if you're impatient, maybe this isn't the step for you. Maybe you want to use something else for your flavour, but this is where it's at. This is the good stuff. All the stuff that's splattered on the sides. It's kind of gritty. That's the flavour. So I just kind of sit and paint, and scrape. And the whole time the chicken's resting, which is good because the chicken needs to rest just a little bit. You never want to carve up something that's been cooking in its own juices straight away. I want to marinate a little bit, cool down, settle, all those juices to fall where they're supposed to. Flavor profile develops. All the while we're leaching all the flavour we can out of this. Can you bother doing any more of that? So, wait for a sec. Right, that's out of the way. Kind of scrape along the bottom because sometimes some little bits get stuck on there, some fatty bits, so just give them a rub. Just make sure that I've got most of that free before I start on the walls. Then you get it all tipped out and you're like, ah, a little bit on the bottom. Here we go. It's kind of a two-part process. You can do the whole thing with the brush. Kind of just swirl it around. But brush never cleans it up like a spatula does, so I kind of use the brush to loosen it all. Get all of that flavour. So if you're making a gravy, this is what you'd be doing. So effectively in my Stewp, we've got a chicken-based gravy. Very buttery too. I've always used the remaining fat in the stew, but it's only been the last few times that I've gone to this much effort to get the extra flavour from the inside of this thing, that it's just made all the difference. Basically kind of going around once, a bit rough in some areas, but now I'll scrape like a squeegee. The good thing about that is whenever I feel any rough bits, I know I've got to go back and do that more. Where it's smooth, that's all good. There's always some parts that are just more splattered than others. I guess it depends on how close the chicken was and the orientation. And it's very therapeutic. Not really doing much. But when you think about each bowl of this that you eat later, and that extra flavour that otherwise you'd have to get from powders, like stock powders and stuff like that, why not make the flavour yourself? Know exactly what's in it. No preservatives. No extra salt. You know exactly how much salt you put in, how little, how much. I used to put a lot in, now I tend to just put enough in to, I guess, because you've got to put some in, but then leave the rest for seasoning for later. You like a lot of salt, put more salt in. You don't like any, you'll like it then. So I don't like any of them. What the hell are you doing cooking? Salt brings out the flavour. Too much though, that's all you can taste. So, I think I'm almost done on the sides. All that flavour has now been captured into the butter solution and fat at the bottom. Still a bit rough on that side. Always good idea to ensure your cookware is very clean before starting this process, at least on the inside. On the outside it doesn't really matter, but on the inside where your food is touching, make sure it's clean. Because otherwise, whatever it is that you're putting in is going through a lot of other meals. Not just one, but 21. Heat-proof bowl. Pour this into simple gloves, which I don't have, so I'll use this because it's a bit hot. Oh yeah. Ideally, I'd love to just wash this straight away, but I'm always scared of Pyrex breaking if it's too hot. This isn't that hot, but still give it a little while to cool down before washing that. And then this butter solution, butter fat goodness, gravy, gets left aside until the chicken has been cooked, boiled. So, up until now, not much has really been done except for a lot of prep and a lot of waiting. Part of this is because my hands are pretty banged up and it's hot. And this will give me just that little bit extra protection that I don't have to just straight away. Effectively what I'm doing here is ripping the chicken apart. A lot of people would be like, oh, don't waste the skin, but the skin is going to get boiled up. I may taste it just to taste how well I've done it. But most of this is for the next step, it's not to eat. So normally with a chicken, I like to just start cutting it in half, getting straight down. That helps with the, I guess, cooling of the said hot meat. Looks pretty well done. Stuffing's all good, well and good, but can get messy. Now, yeah, I'll cut them in half. I used to work at Red Rooster, obviously, so I used to do this with scissors and a knife. Stewp. Don't lose the chicken on the floor. Now it's got to cool a little bit. This is where I taste just a tiny bit of chicken. Oh, that skin's good. How's the chicken? Tastes like roast chicken. It's so hard to pull apart at this stage because it's steaming hot, but pull apart I must because this show must go on. So effectively, I just try and pull the bones out. It's pretty easy at this stage. bones and skin and fatty bits that aren't going to be nice to eat go in one bowl. The good bits to eat will go in this bit, and all of that gets thrown in with the rest of the soup. It can all get boiled. It's edible. That's not a nice bit to get in the soup, that's for sure. It can stay out. It gets a bit too hot on the fingertips, I just go for something that's a bit cooler as a break. Just love it when big bits come off like that. You just know, yeah, they can all get cooked up. Some edible meat in there. Skin off. Shows no bone in there. And that's a nasty bone to get in the soup. Always get that bugger out. I've had that once or twice by mistake. Pat that one as well. Piece of bone there. It's not nice. It's cousin there. Bony down. There's two of them, obviously, but always make sure to get those. They're the nasty ones, the spiky ones. You don't want getting in a child's throat. Again, so many people would cry that I'm putting the skin in, but I don't know why the skin tastes so good, all that flavour. Yeah, well, imagine having that flavour through all of your food. It's worth holding off. Patience. Rewards. Those who are willing. It's about this stage where I'm like, my fingertips have had enough. I'm sore. I'm hot. I'm not hot, but my fingers are hot. They're burning. There's probably an easier way to do this, and as anyone knows, I would love to know it. When I used to work at Red Rooster, the only time we'd strip chickens like this was if they were cold. And we'd be doing that to make up the chicken rolls, which would then get reheated in the microwave when anyone saw want them. And it'd always be the chicken that couldn't be sold otherwise. It's too old. Pearl, whatever they call it. Oh, Sometimes you got to be careful when you get into autopilot and you start putting things on a different pile, and got to go back and sort through and grab the good bits. Although, a good thing about when you do boil it up is any good bits tend to break off and float around and stand out because they're bright white compared to the skin and the mush. Fatty and bone. Not using, I mean sometimes I use my hands, but not today. But you get better grip with your fingers than you do with gloves on. Such a task. It does feel nice to have that extra layer of protection between the skin and the gooey chicken. Macerating, trying to get it off the bone. Doesn't really matter because it's all getting cooked up anyway. Being reduced to shreds. So that's good. Oh, that's good chicken. Takes a while. It's not a quick process. I guess this is the reason why I like making this, is using all of the chicken, not wasting anything. Being mindful that this bird has had to cease existing for us to have a meal. So I spread it out over multiple meals rather than just one. There's 20 meals, so don't have to go out and kill 20 animals for 20 meals. One animal does that. It's got all sinewy and crappy, and so a lot of what's stuck on here will kind of cook off and float around, and I can grab it out before I throw what's remaining, but it is good to get most off just to avoid the fishing expedition that has to happen later. Good one to go there. Doesn't feel like I got as much chicken off this that I normally do. Maybe a small bird. Just kind of squeeze through to make sure there's no hidden bones or something that's fallen out that might be a bit hard. Generally feels okay. I'm going to go back in there and set these off because they feel disgusting. Because all that's going in the soup anyway, I can just go straight in with that chicken. Remember all the flavour, don't waste any of it. It'll pay off in spades, whatever the saying is. Let's pat that down for now. Because it'll put a lid on it, keep anything flying down and making a temporary home. And this gets boiled up. So back to the pot of, that's it. So here's the pot I prepared earlier with the 3 onions and the bay leaves and, whoa, and I spilt it. Anyway, salt and pepper, bay leaves, onion. In goes like the carcass and the skin of the chicken. Okay, put it on, and we boil. Bring it to a simmer, and bring it to a boil, and then let it simmer for about an hour and a half. So you've got the steamed vegetables in here. You've got the chicken doing its thing in here. It's getting hotter, it'll have to be turned down soon. It's got the onions and the bay leaves and the salt and pepper. So I'm going to throw in all of the stuff that needs to go in to the soup now pretty much. Except for the veggies, they go in pretty much the last step so they don't get overcooked. But these have got to cook first, so they go in. With all the herbs, and the garlic and the ginger. Smells amazing. Still have the parsley over there to chop up, which I'll do once everything's together. And the last thing I do. 2 onions, 3 onions. Some organic tomato paste, which I don't know if they stock normal tomato paste, but I'll probably choose the organic over the tomato anyway, normal, because it just has less crap in there. Less preservatives, less acidity regulators. Acidity regulators, they're freaking tomatoes, they're meant to be acidic. I don't know, it's probably for shelf life. I'll try something that's got a year less or a 6 month less shelf life and healthier. Tin of tomatoes. 2 tins of tomatoes. And then, I don't like wasting anything, splash of water. Swish it around. You won't get it all. Not the first go. Pour that into 1 tin. Swish that around. that flavour, isn't it? Tiny little bit of water there. Now is cowered with tomato. Do the same with the tomato paste. It's a bit thicker. I don't want too much in there, and you don't want to spill it, so I just do that over the pot in case I do spill it, doesn't matter. Just get a little bit up under the ridge. There we go. Minimal waste. Again, some more salt. Good pinch. Maybe another one. May as well throw the fat in now too. And hell, we can even throw the chicken in now too. It's just going to be sitting there waiting for the next part. No need to break it apart, it'll fall apart in the cooking process, and if it doesn't, you get a nice big chunk of chicken that's so damn juicy. So damn juicy. Bit more pepper. And maybe just sprinkle in cooking salt. And that should be pretty much it. Now we're waiting for this to boil. Once this boils and has all the flavour, we strain that into here, take the onions and the bay leaves out, throw it in there, and then off she goes for a few hours. Water's boiling. Turn it down. Ow. Probably to about quarter. So about an hour and a half has passed. The chicken broth is pretty well done. A couple of things I like to do before I go too nuts on straining the broth. I like to rescue the onions, which is starting to fall apart, so there will be a couple of bits of onion still floating around. It's one. Two. Three. Also like to stir around and find the bay leaves. Oh, there's one. Oh, where'd it go? Grab that chunk of onion. Grab that chunk of onion. Grab that chunk of onion. There's the bay leaf. No. One. Two. Three. I think there's the fourth. Oh, there's a bit of onion. Oh, another bit of onion. It's pretty much a good way to know with the onions when the broth's done, because when they're starting to fall apart, it should be done. 2 leaves in there. Oh, there it is. I think the rest is just scraps. A potentially messy part. Oh. Just do it slow. Lovely sound that. Just let that strain for a bit. Find if you give it a bit of a squeeze, still a lot of juice coming out. And this part you don't really want to rush because this is what you've done it all for. On now. Some liquid in there so it doesn't burn the bottom. I'll turn it on high at first just to get up the temperature. Then I'll turn it down and let it cook for a few hours. Anyone who's cooked anything with tomato, like tin tomato, takes a while to make it good. Can't just throw it in and then it's done. Get all that flavour out. Still so much juice in here. There's probably bits you can rescue in here, bits like this. Depends on how much time you want to take to go through it. And honestly, you're only getting a couple of mouthfuls, but sometimes it's worth it. Depending on how many extra meals you're trying to squeeze out of this. This is what I was talking about when basically you get all the bits that kind of come off the bone. All the bits, and it kind of stands out. There's still a little bit of fatty bits and stuff that I don't really want to have in there, more texturally. It's because they're gooey and chewy and I don't know. It's like getting a bad meat pie and getting a bit of gristle. Same kind of thing. But you get bits of chicken like this that are still good. So it is kind of worth having a little bit of a scurry around. Depends on how much time you've got up your sleeve. For this purpose, trying to show you all avenues of how I'll be cooking it, I won't be cooking it. But most of the rest is just messy stuff and that can stay. So, voila, that's heating up. This can go in the pan. we start. At this stage we've obviously got all of our ingredients in there, bar the vegetables that are already cooked, and also peas and corn, which I'll just use frozen ones for this one. But sugar peas or snap peas are beautiful. We just have a lot of frozen peas and nothing to freeze it. I've got to get through before I move, which I'll be using those. So I'll pop the lid on this, let it get up to a boil, turn it down, stir it very frequently. We could be looking at a few hours before the vegetables are due to go back in, which I'll put right here for now. An easy way to know if you've left the stove on. Anyway, they're still there, they're warm, they're ready to go in whenever. And it's just a waiting game now. Waiting and stirring and waiting and stirring. And I've been wondering, how to teach someone when it's ready. Now, I go off a few things. Smell, I haven't tasted it yet. I dare not taste it till my nose tells me it's safe. Something about tasting something before the flavours have mixed together, it just doesn't suit me. But I can still smell the celery quite strong. And if you look at it, it's starting to get pretty well cooked, but celery has to be really well cooked. And the onions, now this is the other thing. These are the other ones that came in. So the ones that were in the stock, they're well cooked down now. They're like mush. So they're exactly where they need to be. But these onions, when they're at the same stage, or very close to, that's when these go in. That's when the next stage happens, because at that stage everything in here should have cooked well together. All the flavours have combined. When they go in, they're going to mix a bit, but not too much, because they're going to hold their shape. And then I'll mix the parsley in, cook it for a little bit, throw the peas and corn in. Shortly after, it'll be done. So there isn't really too much to worry about. Stir it mindfully. Think about what you're doing when you're actually making this food. The meals that you're going to be getting from it. How it's going to sustain you and your family. It's not just a quick meal. Coming to the last stage, one of the last stages, checking out the parsley. Started at 9:45 this morning, it is now almost 4:45. This isn't a slow process. Sorry, this isn't a quick process, this is a very slow process. I'm exhausted, my legs and my lower back are very sore. But I'm happy to be able to share this with everybody, not just my children, who this is actually for, but for anybody else who ever wants to make this. Someone who may not be, I guess, confident in their cooking. This is the only thing I've ever made from scratch where I haven't really followed someone's recipe to a T. I started with really just the recipe for stuffing with the chicken. And it was kind of what inspired this. So now I have something to leave with the world for whenever I depart. And if you ever want to think of me and honour me, make this in my memory. And that would make me smile. And we are done on that regard. Check the onions by pushing them up against the edge and seeing how much they squish. And you'll normally lose a layer off the outside, and that'll tell you how to cook now. Still got a bit to go. Still haven't tasted it. Getting close though. That celery smell's died off. Won't be long. I normally only like tasting when the vegetables go in, but sometimes when a bit of chicken gets stuck on the thing, I go. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. So, basically, the onions have hit the point where they're all falling apart. They're not quite cooked through yet, but that's okay. See this one here? Just squeeze it. Just squishes, but it's not all the way not translucent, so it's still a little bit to cook, but realistically there's another hour left, I reckon. Maybe not that long, maybe another half an hour. And in that time, no, I'll let it cook just a little bit longer before I put the veggies in. No point in rushing, not at this stage. It's not a marathon. Okay. It's not a race. Could be a marathon. Feels like it. But the colour of it's getting really good. It's the colour I'm hoping to see. It smells good. Taste is good. I think for the sake of the fact that I'm almost out of daylight and this video is going to look pretty crappy with just the inside light, the onions at a pretty good stage. I'm going to mix in the next bit. Here we go. Here goes the veggies. This is going to make a splash. If I'd made or put purple carrots in here, it would have very much stained everything purple, would have also darkened it. So if you want a really brown, stewy soup looking thing, then definitely do that. But to be honest, I didn't actually find it that appealing. I finished off the last of one batch of that just today, and good as it tasted, I like the more orangey colour that you get from the tomato and everything else the way that it is. And as I said before, I also, when I steam the veggies, save the juice because there's also a lot of goodness in that. Now all this has to cook together for a little bit, probably about another 20 minutes or so before I put the peas and corn in. Although I could literally put them in now. I like to give the water a chance to blend from the steamed veggies with the rest of the soup because it is very watery at the moment. And I'd like it to thicken up just a tad. The other thing I will probably do now actually is throw the parsley in. I could throw it in a little bit later, but I just want to get it out of the way so I can do some cleanup. Okay, so I've got it back up to a boil. I do want to let it kind of boil longer, but as soon as I drop the peas and the corn in, because they're frozen, they're going to drop the temperature anyway, so being that I only just got it off and I want them to cook as well, and this has probably got the onion's probably got about another 10-20 minutes before it's probably done. It's probably all going to coincide perfectly if I put the peas and corn in now and let it cook for a bit. So I normally probably wouldn't put this many peas and corn in, but because I'm trying to empty my freezer, I've got 3 cups of peas and 3 cups of corn. God, I hope it all fits. Let's see. Oh yeah, no problems. Here's the peas. There's the corn. Now it's going to have to get back up to the boil again, but that, ladies and gentlemen, is Stewp 101. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a long day, but that's pretty much it. 20 minutes or so time, it's done. If you cook it too much longer, the peas will start to go greyish colour. That's kind of the barometer now, is the colour of the peas. Hell, cook them till they've got no colour at all, if that's what you want. But the longer you cook it, the more these things, like your carrots and that, are going to start falling apart, and your chunks of potato are going to start disintegrating, and they may look firm, but they'll break apart so gently in your mouth at the moment. But I still want it to cook another 10 or 20 minutes. Let everything get all nice together. But that is pretty well done. I'll taste it when I open it back up. Season it again a little bit, maybe with some more salt, but that might be it. It's probably done. I think it might be done. Peas still green. Veggies started to get a bit soft around the edges, especially the sweet potato, which, you know, it started to disintegrate and thicken up the Stewp a little bit. You don't want it to lose it though, you still want those chunks, because they add a richness to it as you're eating through. It's a little bit of a different texture, a little bit of a different flavour. Now, I do like to taste it. Could probably go a bit longer. Let's just leave it on the way for a little bit. When I taste it, especially at this stage, I did taste it with not my finger in it, that's for sure. With a bit of pea and a bit of corn. It's a bit too watery at the moment. I'm going to leave it a little bit off so the steam can get out. Let it bubble down a bit. might be a tad little bit watery at the moment, so I'm going to sacrifice the colour of the peas, and they are still a little bit like you'd eat them if they were just having them on a plate by themselves, so I want them to soften up a bit, so let's just cook it a little bit longer, boil it down a bit, leave the lid off. Let's leave the lid half so it doesn't splatter everywhere, and come back soon, it should be done. So the last little bit of daylight, it's pretty well done. Yes, to stop it bubbling in my face. But essentially, I've tasted it a few times now, and it's where I want it to be. I put a little bit of extra salt in 2 more pinches. I didn't film that because I'm forgetful and forgot to hit record. But that's the only thing that I have done that hasn't been filmed in regards to this process today. Now, if you scoop through, you'll see all the potatoes still whole. Carrots, but they'll be nice and soft. Onions, pretty much break apart. What I'm hoping to find is a nice chunk of chicken. It's still, oh, there we go. In here somewhere. I don't know, there's lots of chicken pieces in there, but basically, this is the Stewp all done. There's some of the purple sweet potato. That's like a lucky dip. There's not that many pieces, but anyway. There's enough meals in this for 21 servings. And that's a decent meal if you throw some bread in there. Got all the nutrients and stuff you need and some carbohydrates. You can mix in rice, you can do all kinds of things. Mix in pasta. This is a good base. Throw in some chili, throw in some more salt. Anything else that you want. But, Stewp, voila. Enjoy, all of you.